Hello everybody, welcome back to L Space, or welcome to L Space if you're new. My name is Tristan, this is Wally. I'm holding her so that she doesn't commit any more crimes. Though, still inflicting violence nonetheless. So I am going to do my May wrap-up today. Forgive the noise, the air conditioner is on. It's pretty hot here in Boston, so I am dying a little bit, so I need the air conditioner. So just bear with me a little bit. There's just like whirring noises in the background. That's what that is. I read less than I normally do in May, and I think that was just a factor of the fact that I defended my thesis for my master's degree in French. I passed, so I have been authorized to graduate. I just have to finish the project, etc. And so that's really exciting. That obviously took a lot of my brain space, a lot of my time, and so I didn't read for pleasure as much as I normally do. So, and then also the fact that I read a rather long book right at the beginning of the month, that affected the total quantity of books that I read, but that does not mean that the books that I read were of any lesser quality. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to talk about them in order in which I read them, and doing physical books first and then audiobooks last. If you notice from the thumbnail, I held up 4 books, and I told you that I read 5 books, which means that I only read 1 audiobook, which is very strange for me. I've talked about this before, that previously I read like 60% of my books via audio, and the fact that I read 1 audiobook this year, or this month, excuse me, is a little absurd. Wally, what are you doing? Okay. She's not causing too much trouble so far. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about wellness. I talked about this in a weekly wrap-up, just kind of like giving my thoughts. Wally, get down. Thanks, Wally. So yes, I talked about this in kind of a weekly wrap-up style video where I was just doing a book chat. And I very much enjoyed this book. I think that when I talked about it, I hadn't finished it yet, and so now I have finished it. I've had some time to sort of sit with it. I liked the multiple perspectives, following both Elizabeth and what's the other guy's name? Jack. That's right, I knew it was a J name. So I liked following Jack and Elizabeth, their journey from meeting each other to getting married to kind of reconciling with the fact that as you age, you of course change into different versions of yourself, and so in a marriage sometimes you don't know the person that you're with anymore, and they were sort of coming to terms with that and figuring out the next steps. It's very satirical. It's a nice, dry, funny book. I would say that the humor is very reminiscent of Parks and Rec or The Office, if you like those. I love Parks and Rec, hate The Office for some reason. I just don't like Steve Carell. So anyway, I really liked this book. There were some parts that were a little bit distracting, and that was the fact that there would be long, extended monologues that were basically making fun of, or I guess poking fun at, certain fads of the wellness industry and wellness capitalism, so juice cleanses, manifestation, those types of things. And the sort of extended monologues of those fads got a little distracting from the rest of the narrative. But aside from those, all of the characters were quite enjoyable, despite the fact a lot of them being quite annoying. And in general, it was a very interesting book. The structure was very interesting, and the writing was quite good. I would also say that, just like in an unrelated way, I think that this is a really good snapshot of where the English language is today. And that's kind of what I will say about that. So yeah, Wellness by Nathan Hill. Definitely recommend this one, especially if you are into more of like the satirical, making fun of the wellness industry, and it's a pretty anti-capitalist book as well. So yeah, that's Wellness by Nathan Hill. Really liked it. I think I gave it like 4 stars, maybe. My rating system is a little wonky. You can go check out my like how I rate books tag if you want a little bit more detail. I don't know if I even made it that much clearer in that video for just kind of walking around in the dark there. But yeah. So after I read Wellness, I read The Lonely Castle in the Mirror, or rather, Lonely Castle in the Mirror, by Mizuki Tsujimura, translated by Philip Gabriel, and I, again, liked this book. I'm glad that I am talking about this after sitting with it for a little while. I initially struggled with a lot of aspects of the translation. I didn't love the way that Philip Gabriel, I guess, rendered the story or adapted it into English. Some parts were a little bit... Wally is committing crimes. Some parts of it I didn't love as far as just like the writing goes, and that of course is no fault of Mizuki Tsujimura. That's very much the translator's issue. And that I think just stems to the fact that he is more of an adult translator, and he doesn't really work a lot with young adults or middle grade or anything like that. And I think that that's, you know, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It distracted me a little bit, and it took away from some of, I think, the magic that a lot of other people have experienced with this book. But aside from that, I very much enjoyed the magical castle. The castle was very fun. The Wolf Queen was great. The overall story of bullying and how forming a community of peers to help kind of pull you up from your struggles and pull you through your struggles is really a beautiful aspect to this story. So overall, I would definitely recommend this. I hope that maybe it gets another translation sometime, or maybe like a rewrite. I don't know. But that's just like my own small gripe. I also did some more thoughts on this one in another video, like a weekly wrap-up thing. So yeah, I would definitely check this out if you're looking for kind of a more wholesome story. It's a nice portal fantasy. It's labeled as magical realism, and I disagree with that label, but anyway, definitely worth checking out. I think I gave this one 4 stars as well. Alright, next is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this one is the first in the Shadow of the Leviathan series, I believe it is. This book is so good. I loved it. I loved nearly everything about it. The only thing that I would say I didn't love was the style of the names of people, and that is a very small gripe, especially considering it's not a big deal. The way that somebody names their characters in a fantasy book is not my business. So, this book is it's basically a sort of fantasy Sherlock Holmes style mystery book. And you are following 2 characters primarily. You are following Din and Anna. Din is sort of our Watson-style character who has been magically enhanced to be able to remember absolutely everything he has ever seen, read, touched, etc. And then he is paired with Anna, who is our sort of Sherlock Holmes quirky detective, who is very fun, very silly, and of course absolutely brilliant. And you follow this mystery after we find that somebody has been, what they assume is murdered, given the nature of the demise of the individual. A plant called dapplegrass has basically torn the man apart from the inside, and it is all about unraveling who done it. And I really like it. The fantasy world is very immersive. It's very, very atmospheric, and I would say that if you like a richly described and a really well thought out, detailed fantasy world, this is the book for you. It's pretty low magic, in that everything that they all of the sort of like magical elements to them are basically enhancements that they get through grafts and infusions, suffusions, and potions, basically. So like the Canum Empire is what they're part of, and they thousands of years ago mastered the manipulation and science of life. And absolutely everything they do has to do with, you know, basically biochemistry and biology, all of those sorts of things. So the magic is based heavily in that. So very, very interesting book, and I am very excited for the next one because there's a lot of this world that I want to see, and I very much want more. Plus, like, perfect cover. I love it. Anyway, so that's the Tainted Cup. I tend to go through kind of like peaks and troughs for my interest in fantasy, and this one is definitely sending me into a peak because I will be reading more fantasy very, very soon. So that is the Tainted Cup. Definitely recommend this one. Yeah, just go read it. It's great. All right, last for the physical books was one that I read for my book club in real life. My friends, we do a book club, and we decided that we wanted something a little bit lighter because we had just read two somewhat, I guess, intellectual books. We read The Bee Sting by Paul Murray and Enter Ghost by Isabella Hamad, and I loved both of those books. But they were definitely very intellectual and very heady, and so we wanted something that was a little lighter, something that didn't necessarily tread on terribly serious topics. So we decided to go with The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and this really needs very little commentary, very little introduction. This is a beloved entry into the Wayfarer series, and it is a cozy sci-fi, and I have to say, I adore this book. It's probably, it is my second favorite that I read from this month because The Tainted Cup definitely takes the cake on that one. It wins the Golden Chalice. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet follows a very quirky cast of characters as they make their long way to a small angry planet. They're aboard a tunneling ship, which is a ship that creates basically permanent wormholes that you can travel throughout the galaxy. There's a lot of different alien species. They're called sapients, which makes a lot more sense than calling them aliens. I loved Becky Chambers' way that she treated the intrapersonal lives and interpersonal lives between the different sapients, and I think she did a really good job of using the other sapients as a way of exploring different ways of love, friendship, and community. And that is really what this book is about: love, friendship, and community. The intergalactic political struggles is a pretty minor plot line. What we are really looking at here is the inner lives of the crew and the way that they interact with each other and interact with themselves. And I think that this is a really beautiful story, and I love pretty much everything about it. I gave it 5 stars, so I guess I did love everything about it. So that's kind of all I have to say. Definitely recommend this one, and I will be reading the rest of the series because I'm in love. Last but not least, I read Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, and this is a fascinating sci-fi, literary sci-fi book type of thing, and it is dealing with 3 main things, which is very ambitious. The audiobook was only 6 hours, and the fact that she was able to cram as much into that short amount of time is quite impressive. So it has multiple narratives that follow different storylines. There is a time travel narrative, there is the world, the universe is just a simulation storyline, and then there's also a pandemic storyline. And you are following each one of those through different characters and different ways in which those characters' lives interconnect and across time and space. And it's really good. I think the writing is quite good. I liked the way that she evoked the characters. I think that she did a good job of evoking their internal feelings, their interiority, as we would say in literary analysis. But yes, definitely recommend that book. The audiobook is very good. It's performed by a cast of people who all take different parts of the narrative and take charge of those. So yeah, definitely recommend Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. It's a pretty short book, so if you're looking for a pretty quick sci-fi with a little bit more of a literary spin on it, I would say that that is a good one to pick up for yourself. And so with that, those are all of the books that I read in the month of May. Again, it was a little bit of a lighter month for me. I still had a really great time. I didn't really have any flops. I just had like minor gripes with some of the books that I was reading, but they overall were quite enjoyable and ones that I never dreaded picking up. So I was always wanting to sit and read more to keep going with the stories, and so they all kept me very engaged. So that is what I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If any of these books you have read, definitely let me know what you think. I know that some of the people that I've talked to so far really like The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, for good reason. It's fantastic. It's just beautiful. So definitely let me know, gush your thoughts about that one, and if you've read any of the other ones, of course, let me know what you think in the comments below. So my next video is going to be my June TBR, or rather my June sort of pile of possibilities. As said by Book Chat with Pat. That's a great way of putting it, because there's no way I'm going to get to all of them. But anyway, especially given how many I read in May. But yeah, until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.